being investigated. Harvey first saw her performing in a Memphis comedy club in the late 1980s and reportedly told the room on the spot that he intended to marry her. They dated briefly, drifted apart, and both married other people. It wasn't until 2005, after his bodyguard encouraged a reconnection, that they got back together. They married in 2007, and Harvey adopted her 3 children. He has said publicly that she saved his life. Harvey's most infamous professional moment came while hosting the Miss Universe pageant in Las Vegas in December 2015. Reading from a card, he announced Miss Columbia as the winner. The crown was placed on her head, and nearly 2 minutes of celebration aired live to more than 190 countries before Harvey returned to the stage, took responsibility, and corrected the mistake. The winner was actually Miss Philippines. Staff removed the crown on camera in front of a global audience. Harvey later explained that the scorecard had been redesigned at the last minute without his knowledge, placing the actual winner's name in a spot that made the runner-up appear to be the winner. He compared a confusing layout, only half jokingly, to a notoriously confusing ballot design from a past U.S. presidential election. He also made things slightly worse by misspelling both countries' names in his initial apology tweet before correcting it. Despite the embarrassment, which he later said led to his name being searched online billions of times within 48 hours, Miss Columbia eventually said publicly that she held no ill will toward him and that it hadn't been his fault. Harvey went on to host 6 more Miss Universe pageants after the incident, turning one of television's most viral mistakes into continued years of work. While Harvey's television career flourished, a separate controversy was building among fellow comedians. In January 2024, comedian Cat Williams appeared on the podcast Club Shay Shay and accused Harvey of building part of his career on material that wasn't originally his. Comedian Mark Curry had been making similar claims since 2019, pointing to the similarities between his own 1990s sitcom character, a black comedian working as a vice principal, and the format of Harvey's own WB sitcom that debuted around the same time. Curry also pointed to a specific bit about wearing a cardboard delivery box as a Halloween costume during a poverty-stricken childhood, which he had performed years before a similar segment appeared on Harvey's talk show. Actress Angela Means, known for her role in the film Friday, later said publicly that she believed the pattern was real, describing Curry as one of the most naturally gifted improvisers in black stand-up comedy. A separate claim involving the late Bernie Mac alleged that Harvey had tried to take Mac's role in Ocean's 11 by offering to work for less money, a story a radio host later said Mac had personally shared with him. Harvey has repeatedly denied ever stealing material. Those responses have generally been broad denials rather than direct rebuttals of the specific footage comparisons circulating online. Because individual jokes receive little legal protection, none of these accusations has ever produced a formal legal resolution. They remain open disputes. Behind the personal drama is a business record that's hard to overstate. By 2024, Harvey's net worth was estimated at around $200 million. Family Feud has been the financial backbone of his career since 2010, reportedly earning him roughly $10 million per season as the longest-running and highest-rated host in the show's history. He later expanded the format internationally with Family Feud Africa, which quickly became the top-rated game show in both South Africa and Ghana. His radio program reaches millions of listeners weekly across more than 100 stations, and his relationship book became a multi-year New York Times bestseller that was later adapted into a successful film. In 2017, he founded Steve Harvey Global and made early investments in several now major companies, alongside launching his own supplement and menswear lines. He also funds a foundation that runs an annual mentoring program for boys without fathers and has personally funded college scholarships in memory of a student who died young. His most politically controversial moment came in 2017 when he met with then-President-elect Donald Trump to pitch a plan for converting shuttered inner-city schools into STEM centers. The backlash from parts of the black community was intense, and Harvey has said he was called names that deeply affected him. Harvey was born in 1957 in Welch, West. For nearly 2 decades, Steve Harvey has credited his wife Marjorie with turning his life around. He has praised her in interviews, built businesses alongside her, and raised her children as his own. So when rumors surfaced in the summer of 2023 suggesting trouble in that marriage. They hit differently than typical celebrity gossip, because Harvey had spent years positioning that relationship as proof that a broken man could rebuild himself. In August 2023, an anonymous online post began circulating across social media, eventually landing on YouTube and Facebook as though it were established fact. The claim: Harvey had discovered his wife involved with two members of his household staff, his bodyguard and his personal chef. The bodyguard, named in the rumor William Big Boom Freeman, added an ironic twist that fueled the story's spread. Freeman wasn't just a security hire. He was a person who had encouraged Steve and Marjorie to reconnect back in 2005 after years of being out of touch. The idea that the man responsible for bringing the couple together might now be tied to their unraveling gave the rumor extra bite online. Regardless of whether it was true, Harvey addressed it directly while on stage at InvestFest in Atlanta, telling the audience he and Marjorie were fine and asking people to move on from the story. Marjorie responded on Instagram with a Bible verse and a brief statement dismissing the claims as false, then stayed off social media for roughly 3 months. Nigerian Senator Ned Nwoko later said publicly that he'd spoken with Harvey directly and that the entire story had been fabricated. Even so, versions of the rumor kept resurfacing on podcasts and in comment sections well after that. What made the moment land so hard wasn't just the rumor itself. It was a gap between the story being spread and the image Harvey had spent years cultivating. He had built a career and sold millions of relationship advice books, using his own marriage as evidence that people can change. That kind of public claim tends to invite scrutiny the moment cracks appear, whether or not the cracks are real. Months later, at the Griot Awards, Harvey's voice audibly caught as he thanked Marjorie during an acceptance speech, crediting her with much of who he'd become. The couple went on to celebrate their 18th wedding anniversary in June 2025 with photos from a trip to Lake Como. To understand why the public was so quick to believe an unverified rumor, it helps to look at what came before Marjorie, because Harvey's history with marriage wasn't clean before she entered the picture. Harvey has been married 3 times, and each marriage tells a different part of the story. His first wife was Marcia Harvey, whom he married in 1981, while still working in insurance, long before he ever performed comedy. They had twin daughters, and later a son. As his comedy career took off, the marriage fell apart, ending in divorce in 1994. Marcia raised their children largely on her own, and a court later ordered Harvey to pay over $36,000 in back child support. She never gave interviews about the split and moved on quietly. His second marriage, to Mary Lee Shackelford, began in 1996. They had 1 son together. Harvey has since said he entered that marriage for the wrong reasons, admitting in a People interview that he was simply tired of being alone and that the failure of the marriage was on him. The divorce was finalized in 2005, with Mary receiving substantial monthly and lump sum payments along with several properties, while Harvey retained primary custody of their son. What followed was over a decade of public conflict. In 2011, Mary posted videos online alleging Harvey had been unfaithful with Marjorie throughout their marriage and describing years of mistreatment. Harvey's legal team pushed back, pointing to court records showing she had received significant financial support, not the hardship she described. She was later held in contempt of court for violating a gag order and served jail time, during which she told a local news station she was angry about the years she'd missed with her son. In 2017, she filed a $60 million lawsuit against Harvey. It was dismissed the following year on jurisdictional grounds and was never refiled. Marjorie Bridges, who became Harvey's third wife, had her own complicated past, including a previous marriage to a man later convicted on federal drug charges, though she herself was never charged after.